Hi, I'm Micah with Gorilla Gym. Today we're going to show you how to put together your Gorilla Gym system. We're going to go through each part, make sure you have everything in the box, and then we're going to show you how to put together each part into your full Gorilla Gym. As we go piece by piece, feel free to follow along with the manual and see what each piece looks like in the manual so that way you can put it together. This video should just be an accompaniment. First up, we have the curved handlebars. We have two of these. Next up, we have a horizontal plastic bar. Finally, right now we have the main support bar. We have the left and the right side. These pieces will eventually go together to form the main support, but we'll get to that later in the video. Next up, we have the Gorilla Gym Vice Grip. These might come in your box already put together like you see here. If they're not, we'll show you real quickly how to assemble it. It'll come in three pieces: the Vice Grip, the Vice Grip Adjuster, and the Vice Grip Bar Tightener. First, you take the adjuster as three prongs and you stick into the three holes on the Vice Grip. Push down and tighten the screw to adjust. Next, we have the Vice Grip Bar Tightener. This is the piece. Goes around this screw right here. You stick the side that is all the way up to the edge inwards, as opposed to this side with the hollow holes. Make sure you put it on straight, and once it's on straight, tighten to adjust. Next up, we have the stability blocks. You should have two of these. Then, you have the removable padded grips. You'll have four of these. You can choose to only put on two of them. It's sort of whatever you want, whatever you're most comfortable with. Next up, we have the long bolts. As you see right here, you should have two of those. Then the medium bolts, you should have two of those. And the short bolts, you should have two of those. As you can see lined up right here, each bolt has their own washers. And each one of the bolts also has a locking nut. These are listed as spring washers and locking nuts in your manual, but they're also called the short bolt washer and the short bolt nut. And in many cases, these will look very similar or may even be the same thing. Now we're ready to assemble your Gorilla Gym. First up, we're going to attach the two main support bar halves, like so. Make sure to line up the square holes with the other square holes, and it'll make your life a lot easier when you're screwing in the bolts. If you take your bolt, you can see that one end of the bolt has a square top. It's important to put this end in first through the square hole to make sure that everything is lined up correctly. So we got the square holes right here. Take the bolt, drop it in. Take the other bolt, drop that in. And right now you see the two ends coming out through the round holes. On these two loose ends, we'll take the washer, put it on, take the other washer, put that on the other one. Next we're going to take the locking nuts and put those on the tops of the screws. At the beginning, it's totally fine to screw them on by hand, but once they get to the point where you can no longer tighten them by hand, you can use your assembly tool to make sure they're on nice and tight. Your main support bar is finished. For this next step, we're going to attach the two curved bars to the horizontal plastic bar. We're going to do this one at a time. First, we're going to take the curved bar, plastic bar, and make sure that this side with the padding is facing the inward curve of the curved bar. This is very important for later. Now you want to take one of the medium screws, line it up so that it goes through the plastic with the square end on the square hole. Once that's through, you can stick that through the bar. And at this point, it's probably a good idea to take the washer and take the locking nut and tighten it up just by hand. Now, we're going to do the same thing on the other side. You want to line up the curve of the plastic with the curve of the bar. Take the medium-sized bolt, stick that towards you, stick that through the bar, and do the same thing with the washers and the locking nut. As we saw before, if these locking nuts are not fully tightened by hand, you take your assembly tool, give them a few more turns, make sure that everything is attached firmly. This next step, we're going to take the part we just made with the curved bars and attach it to the main support bar. The key here is to use the stability blocks. So first thing we're going to do is take the stability blocks and slide them onto each side of the main support bar. We're going to focus on one side at a time. So a key feature here is to make sure that the square hole on the main support bar is facing down. The stability block will be facing upwards so that this semicircular shape can be attached to the curved bar. The curved bar will fit nicely inside of it just like that. We're going to take one of the long screws now and slide it up through the bottom so that the square top of the screw fits the square hole on the bottom. We also want to make sure that it goes through the hole in the stability block and up through there. Now we're going to take the curved bars and we're going to stick this screw through the hole on the curved bar on top of the stability block. At this point we want to take one of the washers, one of the locking nuts, screw it on top just to make sure it stays in place while we do the other side. Now we're going to do the same thing we did over there on this side. Turn the stability block so that it's facing upwards with the semicircular side facing the curved bar. Then we're going to take the screw, slide it through the hole in the bottom, make sure it goes through the stability block up top, just like that. We're going to take the curved bar, slide it onto the screw, and take the washer, the locking nut, screw that on top. Now, just like we've done the other two times, we're going to take the assembly tool and make sure that these locking nuts are on nice and tight. Now that we have the shape of the Gorilla Gym, we're going to attach the vice grips to make it fit on your door frame. First, we're going to take the padded grips and slide them onto the bar. This is a choice you can make depending on the width of your door frame. If you have an especially wide door, it's probably good to put all four on the inside. For this demonstration, we're only going to put one on each side, and then we're going to slide on the vice grips. This is totally a preference kind of thing, so whatever you want, you should do. Now we're going to take the vice grips, and we're going to take the side with the bar tightener and slide it onto the bar. The bar tightener should be inside facing the rest of the Gorilla Gym. This slides on nicely, put it right over the padded grip and turn it to tighten it. Do the same thing on the other side. Slide the bar tightener side on first, then you turn it to tighten it. Depending on the width of your door frame, these vice grips can slide in or out to fit any size door. Now that your Gorilla Gym is fully assembled, the last step is to go back to all of the locking nuts and using your assembly tool, make sure they're on securely. Now your Gorilla Gym is ready to go on the door.